I feel like we have our moments where we're close. I think it's mostly on the offensive end. Certainly, I think getting ball and player movement consistently. Playing at least 1 second basketball, not 0.5 basketball. We're not at our best when we're catching and holding, when we're passing up open shots, when the ball is going inside out, when we're not forcing defenses to rotate. It's just we're not built like that. We're not built to just take people and teams in one-on-one in ISO situations. We got to get them moving. We got to get them rotating. And I think we have at moments done really well. I think we grew in that area in the Phoenix game, but now it's just building on it consistently.
Okay. But being a slow-paced team in general, those things kind of, is it slower than you like?
Yes, it's slower than we like, certainly. I think we miss opportunities sometimes in transition. Even if we don't get a shot, just attacking and being able to start our action on backside. We're not. We would like to play a little bit faster. We'd like to play with more pace. We'd like to get out in transition more and not have to set up quite so much. But some of that is just the players that we have and the system that they're used to, and sort of just rewiring some. And some of that is integrating a lot of new pieces and getting a comfort level there. So.
Obviously, the numbers are going to be bigger going to overtime in the first game. But with Fee, what maybe some of those adjustments? Is it, obviously, such a strong defensive team, but she obviously has just been, fantastic every game in, game out, and how you maybe try and go about stopping that.
Yeah, it's tough because if you put too much focus on her, there are many capable players around her that can knock shots down. One of the things that we have to do is we've got to guard the three-point line. We're not a team that can match Minnesota from the three-point line, so we can't trade our twos for their threes. So with Fee specifically, we have to give her different looks. We have to try to keep her off balance. We have to try to make her hit tough shots off the move, not allow her to get her one-on-ones on the block, not allow her to get open catch and shoot opportunities, easy straight line drives to the rim. It's just trying to make shots as difficult as possible off the bounce. And that's got to be what we do, because if we overhelp or we send to, then we're leaving 3-point shooters, and we've got to make everyone on the floor really hit tough twos.
What was it like she obviously has the World Cup with Cheryl with USA Basketball ET, but what was it like to just celebrate with her and making her first Olympic game?
It's a lot of fun. I'm proud of AT. She's not in the traditional route in terms of USA Basketball and the trajectory of being involved with USA Basketball. I think there might have been times where she felt like, okay, she wasn't going to be in the cards. Yet when her number was called, she took full advantage of it. And I think, first and foremost, I think Cheryl is a coach who appreciates what AT brings to the table. She's a plug and play player. And when you're playing with a lot of elite players who are scorers, who play with the ball in their hand a lot, having a player like AT who can do all the little things, who can initiate offense, who can play at any position, who can be a ball mover, who can set great screens, and do all of those things that are connecting. Not to mention what she can do on the defensive end of the floor and what she can give you on that end as well. So, I'm really proud of her. I'm incredibly excited for her that she gets this opportunity.
Coach, as a lead pass watcher, Carrington's just been so fun to see her elevate with her doubling minutes, doubling her sets all across the board. Just you hope that they can fill that role, and it seems that she's certainly done that. What have you liked from her accentuated circumstances, just getting more playing time and playing really good on both sides of the ball?
Well, her energy has always been great. She's someone who in that six-man role came in and really changed the game for us with her energy. Honestly, at the beginning of the year, my concern was who's going to bring that energy from the bench if Nay's in the starting lineup. And she's been able to consistently keep that energy in starter minutes, and that's hard to do. She's typically on the best perimeter player. Defensively, she's got to be locked in to being elite, to being on point every single game. I feel like she's continued to get more comfortable and more consistent on the offensive end of the floor, as the season has progressed, and we're going to need that from her. But most importantly, her consistency has been outstanding, and it's exactly what we've needed from her.
Last question. There seem to be a lot of children wearing Connecticut
yeah.
here today.
They're all
Are
running
any of them
around here.
yours?
Yeah, all of those are mine. I'm like, what are you guys doing running around like you own the place? It's like, but most importantly, they were here to see T. They wanted to see
T
T.
was
I noticed that.
playing,
Yeah, so we came into practice yesterday and they were like, well, is Minnesota gonna practice? Are they gonna practice? I was like, well, they played in New York. I doubt they're gonna practice. If they do, they have a practice facility. And they were like, well, can we go just in case T's gonna be there? T is my children's favorite. So they wanted to be around all day to make sure that they saw it. They were not in Connecticut when Minnesota came to town. So yeah, that was a priority for them.
That was adorable.
Madonna, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Quick question. How has Veronica fit into this team?
Yeah, she's been great. There's always a concern when you're bringing somebody in the middle of the year when you don't have a lot of practice time, just how quickly they can get up to speed. She's done it in no time at all. She's a high IQ player. She's a natural point guard. She's a really good defender, and she's a great teammate. So she's been doing extra work with AK and with Breon, just trying to make sure she understands what we're trying to get out of our offense. Making sure she understands the defensive coverages and schemes. But she's been a natural fit. She's certainly been someone who stayed ready and came in and has made an impact.
One more question for me. What is an area that concerns you for this game against Minnesota?
Defending the 3-point line, they are so good at having all 5 players in motion all the time. We can't be reactive on defense. We've got to be proactive. We got to anticipate actions. We can't get caught standing because they're going to get on to the next action very, very quickly. And they take advantage when they get you in rotation and they get wide open threes. And we've got to be able to limit the amount of wide open threes that they get. We got to force them into tough twos.
Steph, any before last game Monday, was there any message sent about the free throw line? Because I think maybe they got it right, 22 of 23.
I don't know that you can send a message about the free throw line, right? It's like the more you talk about it, like the more it gets in people's heads, and all you can do is continue to work on it, and making them in practice does not simulate making them in the game. But I think just locked in, stepped up, took advantage of opportunities, and we've got to continue to do that. As we continue to navigate, ourselves offensively, we do a good job of getting to the foul line, and we've got to be able to take advantage.
And what's impressed since you last played Minnesota, which was a while ago now, about a month and a half, what's impressed you most in terms of how they're kind of connected, right? Because at the time they were only the 3rd or 4th game and a lot of new pieces in and out, but in terms of their connectivity from then until now.
Yeah, I mean, they were still pretty good then. I think the most important thing or the biggest thing is just how fluid they flow, offensively, and how locked in and committed they are from a team defensive standpoint. A year ago, their Achilles heel was probably the defensive end of the floor. It's not that anymore. And I think that, individually, they do their job. Collectively, they do their job. But offensively, they put so much pressure on you to be perfect on the defensive end, in constant movement and motion. The ball doesn't stick. They make the extra pass. They're reading all their actions. It's just they're a really, really tough team to guard, and incredibly skilled. So you got to be locked in.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Noah, last question.
Brianna Jones named to the All-Star team. What have you seen from her just returning back to pre-injury form, and where along her recovery and kind of acclimation back to her pre-injury form do you think she is right now?
I am just so impressed with Breezy and how she's come back. We didn't really know where she would be at the beginning of training camp. Certainly we've had minutes restrictions, throughout most of the early season. And she came back, I think, further along than anyone anticipated. It took her a little bit to get her wind. It took her a little bit to, I think, maybe get her flow and her rhythm and her timing. But she's been just as dominant as ever, continuing, I think, for us to build her endurance. But she's just, you can tell that she's just such an incredibly hard worker, that she put herself in position to come back and be ready to go. I think where she got injured last the timing with which she got injured. By the end of the season, we almost forgot how important she was to everything that we do in offense and defense. And having her back on the floor, it's like that's a missing piece for us because she's a connector on both ends. She's certainly a threat on the interior offensively, but she's so good in the two-man defense and just being like a catch-all for everyone. It gives the perimeter players confidence on the defensive end to be a little bit more aggressive, that she's going to have their back, and certainly on the rebounding as well for us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. It's fun seeing Reese.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Yeah.